This special episode of Crypto Banter is brought to you by BYBIT. Trade your favorite tokens from Bitcoin, Ethereum, to Sushi, Doge, and many more on the world's most stable exchange. Welcome to El Salvador, where this month its president proposed, and an overwhelming majority of the legislature passed a law, becoming the first country to do so, making Bitcoin legal tender. An official state-sanctioned currency that all government services and merchants alike can accept from its 6 million people. 70% whom are unbanked and who may now get financial inclusion.
I will send to Congress a bill that will make Bitcoin a legal tender in El Salvador. In the short term, this will generate jobs and help provide financial inclusion to thousands outside the formal economy.
He made the announcement at Bitcoin 2021 in Miami, introduced by Jack Mallers from Stripe, whose Bitcoin payment app has helped build the inroads with a team from Bitcoin Beach.
Interested to know what the thinking was behind Bitcoin Beach.
We really just believe that Bitcoin could be used in real ways by people on kind of the lowest rung of the economic ladder, and everybody always talked about it, but nobody ever did that.
This is a huge first for Bitcoin in the developing world, and for Bitcoiners. It's a huge test to see if other countries may follow.
Queda aprobada la ley de Bitcoin.
What's different here, it seems, is the president's handling of big issues, like gangs, COVID-19, and now Bitcoin. It's less bureaucratic and more like a business. It runs with efficiency over bureaucracy. But still, the mainstream FUD is already kicking in.
The global financial institution World Bank said it could not assist El Salvador's Bitcoin implementation given environmental and transparency drawbacks.
We joined a delegation that came down at the invitation of the Salvadorian Ambassador to the United States, inviting Bitcoin and crypto companies to see where they can invest, provide expertise, and see how the country plans to implement this game-changing law in less than 90 days.
How do you think Bitcoin helps?
Well, it's a different market. We're going to be also the leaders in the region. We want to show the rest of the countries in Latin America that there's different ways of doing business.
So, we're off to the races on a whirlwind 3-day tour of all things Bitcoin across El Salvador. We'll meet the economic minister.
We are so convinced that this is a golden moment for El Salvador.
The trade and investment minister welcoming us.
Good morning, my name is Miguel Catan. Welcome to the best place in the world.
The tourism head playing up its rebranded surf image.
Tenemos 300 kilómetros de playa, que esto nos hace también una gran ventaja competitiva, en donde tenemos precisamente este gran programa emblemático llamado Subcity, que el presidente Bukele, desde el principio, desde su campaña.
And we'll talk to the justice minister.
Are you excited about it?
Yes, of course.
Are you excited about the future of El Salvador?
Of course, yes.
Also excited, figures across crypto.
This opportunity is real, that this president is demonstrating real leadership.
Also apparently real are opportunities for Bitcoin mining. And we'll talk to mining companies interested in talk of volcanic renewable geothermal opportunities.
The government has rolled out a plan to develop 95 megawatts of purely clean renewable energy based on geothermal, of which there are abundant sources here.
Also abundant, interest by pick and shovel companies, from exchanges to conferences to media and more.
I represent Kraken, which is one of the largest Bitcoin exchanges on Earth.
How genuine is this about actually adopting Bitcoin and actually helping the people of the country?
I'm 100% sure that this is really genuine.
I think like their imagination is really limitless, and that's the type of place that you want to be in when you're trying to build something.
Limitless, wow. We'll see if that's the reality. First, we hit the ground running the evening of our arrival to see what people who matter most, the citizens, are saying.
We're here in Antigua, Cuscatlán, in the heart of El Salvador. And since the president passed the law that Bitcoin is becoming legal tender, we came here to see what it's all about. And you can see behind me is already a salon that accepts Bitcoin. We're here as part of a government delegation, and what I thought I'd do is I'd come and understand what it's all about, speak to the people, sample the pupusas, the local food, and just get a feel for what this nation is all about. Do you know anything about Bitcoin?
Yes, we have heard about it. Apparently you're going to have it here within the couple months in El Salvador.
What do you know about it?
We know it's a virtual currency. It's not regulated by any type of nation or any government. And we know it fluctuates between, every 2,500 to $60,000. So you get that.
That's it. Hi guys, do you have any Bitcoin?
No.
Are you going to have Bitcoin?
I think.
Do you know what Bitcoin is?
Yeah, it's like a virtual money.
And obviously you know the government made Bitcoin legal tender. Are you excited about it?
So. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Why?
The Bitcoin, the level is up, the level is down. So.
Are you excited?
Lo único que nos tiene un poco nosotros como alertas es porque es una moneda o es una disque moneda que fluctúa demasiado, que tiende a subir, tiende a bajar, pero en su momento nos tendríamos que adaptar, ¿verdad? Al cambio, ¿verdad?
So what we're hearing is that people have a concern. They have a concern around the volatility, about the price fluctuation on Bitcoin. And it's no surprise because if you think about the average wage in this country, it's about $300. And when a person or a family is earning $300, they can't afford volatility. $300, if it becomes $250, means that food goes off the table. And that's one of the big concerns about introducing Bitcoin as legal tender. We'll find out more about that later in the show. Do you know Bitcoin? Oh, he doesn't have any Bitcoin, but maybe soon he will be accepting Bitcoin because that's part of what needs to happen here in the next 90 days. The president has given the nation 90 days for every vendor to accept Bitcoin as legal tender. 90 days. Hola. ¿Tienes Bitcoin?
No, ahorita todavía no he comprado. Sería bueno probarlo, la verdad. Ahorita nada más a probar porque no es algo que sabemos bien cómo se utiliza ni nada de eso.
Gracias.
Bueno.
Do you know what Bitcoin is? No? No. Another family that doesn't know what Bitcoin is. So a lot of work to be done here on education, teaching people what Bitcoin is and how it can help them. The passing of the law was just the beginning, but the work still has to be done.
The next morning, we kick off our official visit with an official arrival to the Hall of Presidents at La Casa Presidencial. So let's meet the parties involved.
Good morning, Your Excellencies. Very proud to be here. My name is Ran. I am the creator and host of the world's first televised crypto show.
If we look at the rise of Bitcoin over the last 5 years, we're looking at over 1 billion users coming to crypto. But if we compare it to the internet, where we are today, they went to 1 billion users in about 7.5 years. And the adoption of Bitcoin is even faster.
Me llamo Alejandro Palanzas, llevo también una década en Bitcoin y mi pasión es promoverlo en Latinoamérica porque es el mejor caso para los usuarios para defenderse de la inflación y las restricciones que hay en las remesas.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lauren Bissell. I also run a partnership with the United Nations on sort of futurist tech.
I've developed a lot of experience working in the United Arab Emirates, building special economic zones, putting together public-private partnerships, building government accelerators, and I'd love to share that knowledge with more and more countries who are interested in these types of economic frameworks. Thank you.
So one of the things that we've seen is that there have been other countries that have gone and taken an early lead around crypto and crypto regulation in their regions. And what they've done is then they've become sort of regional centers of excellence that have exported skills and talents into the remainder of the region. And I specifically think of places like Singapore and the UAE have been really early in that way and have sort of taken on that role of saying we're going to be the first in our region to be the best at this.
We want to attract the industry. We believe in the free market. We want you guys to operate here, okay? So we are working on a framework. Maybe a sandbox approach is going to be appropriate for this, but at the end of the day, okay, we want you guys to be here. President Bukele said, I mean, we're not here to actually control this. Not at all. I mean, our best interest is you guys to make all that is possible so you guys can actually become here and make El Salvador the financial hub of the Central America.
That's the end of the first half of the sessions. We're going to go get a group photo now with all the ministers and the central bankers here. So Brock, we've been here for about half a day. Impressions thus far?
You know, we got to spend time with the central bank and to see the enthusiasm around Bitcoin and what we're talking about from the central bank. I think this could kick off a chain reaction of nations throughout the region and throughout the world following suit.
So John, what do you think? What are your impressions so far about the Bitcoinization of El Salvador?
Yeah, I think it's real. My biggest takeaway actually is a tank rolls by. They actually are putting their best people on it, and kind of the speed at which they're trying to kind of bring companies on, bring kind of businesses to kind of a place where they can operate in a regular way.
So we've been in the first half of our first day here. What are your impressions so far?
Look, it seems like El Salvador is the first mover in terms of adopting this new technology to help revamp its financial system. When you look at the US dollar, which was the primary currency for El Salvador, if you compare it to today from 1965, it lost 97% of its value. At this point, El Salvador is taking courageous steps to just change the rules of the game.
Were you impressed by the people, by the team, by the caliber of person that was meeting with us today?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you compare that to the U.S. and the U.S. government's response to crypto, and they're saying, like, everybody come here, like, they don't want to have any opposition or create any roadblocks or static. They just want to be able to integrate, you know, in a way that's meaningful. So, absolutely, it's super exciting and really refreshing to see, for sure.
So we spent the morning with ambassadors, with the finance ministers, with central bankers, learning about why they are adopting Bitcoin and why it's so exciting that Bitcoin is being adopted here in El Salvador. We also heard about their COVID relief efforts and how they managed to conquer COVID in this country very efficiently. And the same team is the same team that's implementing Bitcoin here in El Salvador.
Part of the team includes the ambassador to the United States, who helped organize this delegation. The first delegation in the country, in fact, since COVID. We spoke to her on the slopes overlooking one of the country's volcanoes.
So we're here on the volcano, the famous volcano, the volcano that's going to be used to power the geothermal energy. And I have an interview, I have a meeting with the ambassador, the El Salvadorian ambassador to the United States. Ambassador, nice to see you again.
Hello, nice to see you. It's been such a nice experience to have this first delegation after COVID, and we need investors. So these 32 entrepreneurs and businessmen for us are very welcome to our country.
So what was the thinking to bring in a Bitcoin delegation as the first delegation? What was the reasoning?
Well, I sat down to have a breakfast with Brock in DC, and then we were starting talking about coming to El Salvador, but the next week we're here. So the things are in technology, it has to be fast, and this is the moment.
So we get the feeling that this country is run like a business, and that the leader of the business is getting things done very quickly, at the pace of business, yes. Not at the pace of governments.
Yes. Our president, Nayib Bukele, he's different. He is, a millennial, and he wants the things fast, so the whole government has to have his pace. And that's why after 1 week we're here.
Where do you think Bitcoin fits on the agenda? Is it here? Is it here? I mean, where do you think it fits on the agenda?
After COVID, which we are the leaders in the region.
In the world, I think, after what I saw yesterday in the world.
In the vaccination program, in our hospital, and much more. Right now, we need jobs in El Salvador, so our people can stay here and they will find in El Salvador their own dreams, not in the United States.
How do you think Bitcoin helps?
Well, it's a different market. We're going to be also the leaders in the region. We want to show the rest of the countries in Latin America that there's different ways of doing business.
Also different is the way this government tackled COVID-19. So from La Casa Presidencial, we went to the biggest hospital in Latin America, where we were shown its virtual operations center, enabling 10 times the ICU treatments as ever before. For a country with just 6 million people, they had some of the lowest infection rates in the world.
That map you see is and how many patients we have right now. So we have ICU, intermediate unit, and the stable unit.
So what you have here is the most impressive thing I've seen in a long time. It's a virtual hospital to manage the COVID pandemic here in El Salvador. What you see here is cameras facing beds which are about 1 kilometer away or about a mile away. And over here you have a line of specialists treating the patients, protecting the doctors from the front line. It's state-of-the-art technology, and it's using Google Sheets. It's not using these IBM contracts or these SAP contracts. It's working remotely with state-of-the-art technology, protecting themselves while at the same time giving patients state-of-the-art treatment. This is unbelievable.
As you can see, everything there.
Nice.
We have the capacity to attend about 1,000 critical patients.
After the ICU Operation Center, we went next door to one of the company's super vaccination centers. These huge expo halls are being run not by government bureaucrats, but by concert and event companies. There's branding, there's messaging, there's effective vaccination rates.
Every day we got around 10,000 to 12,000 people, but our real capacity is about 20,000 people per day.
Here?
Yeah, here. In the whole country, we got 163 vaccination spots. Our main goal is to get vaccinated 70% of the whole Salvadoran population. It's about 4.5 million people. Right now, we are covered at 20%, 25%.
What's the average waiting time of a person that comes here? What's the average waiting time?
So there's not a waiting time exactly. You come in and you get vaccinated right away. You wait about, 5 minutes? With the observation, you have 15 minutes. So 20 minutes and you're out.
You make it sound so easy. Yeah. You go to a website, you click, you make an appointment,
Exactly.
It looks like the government here has been very serious about solving the COVID problem, and it looks like they've done it very successfully.
Yeah, very.
It looks like the government took COVID very seriously.
Yeah.
Do you think the government's going to take Bitcoin and the move to Bitcoin as seriously as they took this pandemic?
Bitcoin, I don't know yet, but I'm very curious to learn about this, of course.
Would you use Bitcoin? Do you think that you will use Bitcoin?
Me, yes, of course. Are you?
Of course, I'm wearing a Bitcoin shirt.
Okay, we two are going to use Bitcoin. You got to teach me.
I'll teach you.
Okay,
I'll teach
great.
you Bitcoin.
Please,
For
please.
sure. Thank you.
Okay.
So they push the system and ensure that they are. Y quiere la vacuna.
This has really blown me away. It's brand new, it's super clean, it works. Nobody waits for vaccines. Testament to what a third world country can do. Now it's time to get back to the business of Bitcoin.
And for the business of crypto banter, here's a message from our sponsor. Day 2 of our tour takes us to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Here we touch up on the sensitive topic of the legacy of the brutal civil wars of the 80s and 90s, which many argue led to the massive uptick of gang formations between here and the United States as so many fled the violence. It was a feedback loop that the president and his team are partially hoping to close with the ever-growing promise of Bitcoin. The Justice Minister candidly addresses the number and notes gang violence and homicide rates are down.
So we've just come out of presentations here at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's Father's Day, it's a national holiday, so it's very quiet here, and we have the whole ministry to ourselves. Now, one of the perceptions that people have of El Salvador is that it's not a very safe country and that there's gangs and stuff like that. So what I thought I'd do is I'd interview the Minister of Security. Hi, how are you?
Hi, fine, you?
Great. The perception that we have because of the media is that El Salvador is not a very safe place, and traditionally it's not a very safe place. And they warned us, they said, look, before you come to El Salvador, be careful, don't carry your mobile phones. What's the reality?
No, the reality in our country, because we started a program or plan to fight against gangs and everything in the past. We built a Plan Control Territorial in El Salvador. It's not only police operation, it's not only capture bad guys, and we started to invest time in preventions and to create opportunity to our communities and reduce the crime rates, because we were famous in that situation.
How is the progress? I mean, is it succeeding? Is all the stuff that you're doing, is it actually working?
Yes. Imagine in less than 2 years, we reduced more than 60% the homicide rate in El Salvador.
I get the perception that this government doesn't waste time. This government does things very quickly, that there's no red tape in El Salvador. I get the perception that you say something and it gets done very quickly. Yeah. Is that reality? But be honest, I mean, I know you're representing the government, but is that how it works in El Salvador? No.
It's our government is 24/7. It's not a motto. It's a reality. We are working hard every day and with different institutions, because we are working as a group. We are a team and we work as a team.
A young team.
Yes.
An effective team. You're very effective. You are in charge of security.
Yes.
There's a lot of questions about security and Bitcoin, ransomware attacks, and money paid to terrorism organizations and money laundering. There's a lot of questions. What is your outlook on whether can Bitcoin help you, or is Bitcoin adding another frontier for you?
Oh, the new era as a Bitcoin, for example, is as a security. You have to invest to modernize, to create new program software to fight against those bad guys. And of course, we have to create new tools, because the majority of users of Bitcoin, they use it for good reason. So we don't want to bother them. We want to bother the few guys.
Are you excited about it?
Yes, of course.
Are you excited about the future of El Salvador?
Of course, yes.
The overall crypto community is excited about El Salvador. The country, with its legacy of civil war in the 80s, is still somewhat raw and still ripe for development. But the country could be a sign of things to come, many hope, for many Latin American countries in the region. We talked to one expert, an OG Bitcoiner from Argentina who's run the main Latin American meetups and conferences for almost a decade, to see if he thinks this continent can be a sign of things to come.
So we're here at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. What are your impressions of what they've done to welcome us in the context of Bitcoin?
I think they've done the right job. I think they introduced us to all the different aspects that were in our mind as concerns, yes, and they knew what they needed to address.
What kind of problems? I mean, when you talk about problems, what?
Security, health, logistics. I think that we all have this impression that this Bitcoin law is real, and Bitcoin itself as a core, yes, is in the core of this.
That's what I wanted to address with you. So we know that the president here has some negative press in the United States and the rest of the world, slightly negative, not painted in the best light. Some critics have said that this is a move, it's not a serious move, it's just a move to hide everything. You've been here now, you felt it, right? You feel what's going on here. How genuine is this about actually adopting Bitcoin and actually helping the people of the country?
I'm 100% sure that this is really genuine.
You're South American, Latin American. You know the market better than anyone. You run the biggest conferences in Latin America. You know the different countries and the different presidents. What is the big difference between El Salvador and other countries that you've seen and worked with in Latin and South America?
I think that the difference in El Salvador is they don't have a currency to protect. Yes, they don't have their own currency. It's like when you are in a crisis and you need to find good solutions. Yes, if you can print money, you don't need to find good solutions. You just print more money.
They can't print money.
And you just push the problem to the next government. When you don't have money to print, yes, you need to solve things because otherwise you have no money and you can't do stuff. And I think that the Bitcoin law, it seems to be like the next big smart thing they want to do to drive and to work without printing money.
What are the biggest challenges going to be? There's going to be a lot of challenges. This is not going to be easy.
I think one of the big challenges, I think it's related to not turning the whole country into a speculative approach to currency. I guess that lots of shitcoins will come down and try to sell themselves like a different opportunity. Okay, you have Bitcoin, but watch this one, and the people will start reading and understanding about cryptos and investing in different currencies and trying to get a hold of a benefit, because this could eventually go on the other way. No? This could become like, okay, now we are all investors, we are all like traders and stuff like that. So I'm concerned about that. Money moves emotions and moves people.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
So he sees El Salvador moving forward, but with caution and optimism. The same from the Bitcoin mining industry, powered by talk of volcanic renewable energy here. The government is seeking $500 million in infrastructure to invest in such. So we went up one of the volcanoes and talked mining with a group and a CEO of a publicly listed mining company.
So the big narrative now is around ESG and how Bitcoin mining actually destroys the entire environment. One of the reasons why we came here to El Salvador was to see the volcano, to see this volcano that's going to one day be used to power Bitcoin mining using geothermal energy. And so with me, I've got Brian. Brian is the CEO of a NASDAQ-listed company that does Bitcoin mining, right?
That's right, yes. My name is Brian Bullitt. I'm the CEO of Bit Digital Inc. We're a NASDAQ-listed Bitcoin miner, one of the largest publicly traded miners. And we were invited down here to join Brock Pierce, who is a member of our advisory board, as guests of the government to learn more about their plans with regard to clean energy and Bitcoin.
Okay, so let's take one step back before we even talk about why we're in El Salvador. This ESG fund, this whole narrative that Bitcoin's mining is dirty and destroying the environment. There's the narrative, and then there's the reality. Tell me about the reality, because you're in the trenches and you deal with this every day. Give me the stats, give me the numbers.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of stats, and there are a lot of sort of sub-questions embedded there. But there are many sources of what percentage of the mining industry runs on a component of clean energy or renewable energy, and those statistics I've seen in the high 70%. And I've seen statistics in the 40s in terms of the total component that's renewable. With respect to our company, we run on a majority of carbon-free energy sources. We recently engaged an ESG consultant to independently benchmark our environmental sustainability, help us set targets, and track our progress in a transparent way towards them.
Okay, so now you're here in El Salvador.
Yes.
And we're here on the volcano, and this is the volcano that is apparently going to be used to mine or to create the geothermal power required to mine. Now that you've seen it, and you've seen the president, and you've met the delegation, and you've met the ministers, is this thing a reality?
Well, I'm a guest here, and I can report on what I've been shown and what I've been told. And the statistics are impressive. The plans are ambitious. What has been shared with us is that the government has rolled out a plan to develop 95 megawatts of purely clean renewable energy based on geothermal, of which there are abundant sources here. And that new source of energy will be earmarked for Bitcoin mining as an incremental supply of energy that will not be a parasitic load on the existing grid. And we think that's an important part of their overall Bitcoin strategy.
All right, let's go inside, because it's raining, and it always rains on the volcano, so yeah, let's go inside. Wow.
Not to run in this parade, let's get some more context on all this hype from volcanoes and more from crypto media, from the newly named publisher of the Bitcoin magazine and former Vice exec.
You haven't been here before?
Never.
And you hadn't heard very much about El Salvador before the Bitcoin announcement. I mean, let's be honest.
Yes, other than political comments and that were, I think politically charged, I had not heard much about El Salvador.
So what did you think before you came here?
Well, I think I probably had questions about where they politically stood and how the government was impacting the people. You're hearing about a rise in crime. They love to show those numbers. So the feeling of this isn't a safe place for you to come visit or to not only do business but vacation on, it was not something I was considering.
And you also had the impression that you were coming to a very third world country where not much gets done and a lot gets spoken about.
I don't know if I was coming to a third world country, but I was coming to a place where economic development was not what I was thinking it was going to be about.
Okay, now we're here.
Okay, we're here.
We've met presidents, advisors, ministers. Now what's your impression?
We met everyone in the government. We've been meeting with people. But you know what the most thing I was impressed with? I looked at their COVID vaccination station. I know that's probably not going to be talked about by a lot of people here, but that's the part that made me really believe in El Salvador.
He's running this place like a business.
You know, it's always, I had my previous life, I was even a city councilman when I was a kid, and I, believed in running cities like a business, and then watched just even local governments in the U.S. kind of destroy all your hopes of doing that. It has to come from the highest level, and this president has shown this. So I don't just trust him, we verify what he's done, and they continue to bring us around and show us how they've turned things around and what they've done. And now they're saying they're going to put that focus on what they do with Bitcoin.
Practically,
yes.
Are people going to use Bitcoin here?
You have a community now that's getting excited that people from around the world are rooting for them to win. If you ask me, if you're talking about a president running a business, what a smart thing for him to do to attach himself to a global movement about financial freedom.
No. He attached himself to the most passionate community in the world.
So now that community is invested in El Salvador doing well. It's actually the entire blueprint that we've all hoped and dreamed for. He's now saying the success of us would be the success of you. So it's a brilliant way to get an entire global movement on your side.
So if we as a community want Bitcoin to work and other countries to adopt it, we as a whole Bitcoin community have to make sure that El Salvador succeeds.
I don't understand why, if anyone believes in Bitcoin, they wouldn't be supporting this. Because if a government is showing you that they're willing to get out of the way, which is what we all secretly hope happens, right? Yeah. They're showing us that they will do that. There's people who are excited about making this possible, and there's hidden gems throughout this entire country. A beautiful, everything from surfing to then saying we're going to tap a volcano for energy. I think like their imagination is really limitless, and that's the type of place that you want to be in when you're trying to build something.
Limitless, wow. From the top on down, this is a hyper-focused, hyper-fast effort by the president and the legislature. The countdown is on. But to see its origins, we have to go to Bitcoin Beach. This surfing enclave had Michael and George build this Bitcoin bridge dating back 5 years ago. Now a critical mass of 100,000 people already using Bitcoin right here.
Guys, interested to know what the thinking was behind Bitcoin Beach.
We really just believe that Bitcoin could be used in real ways by people on kind of the lowest rung of the economic ladder, and everybody always talked about it, but nobody ever did that. And so our idea was, let's see if this really works, and let's get Bitcoin out in the hands of the everyday people, and that's basically what we did.
Why El Salvador?
Because it's easy to move in El Salvador for everything. It's short area, and we really believe in Bitcoin because it's the future for us.
Tell me why you think Bitcoin is the future. I mean,
because it's more opportunity and more possibility for the kids to start to use a Bitcoin for the future.
And I think just with so many people here don't have bank accounts and they've been kind of locked out of the system. And so this is the first time that they can have something they can save in. They can save to their family across the country and they can get remittances in it.
How much progress have you made here on Bitcoin Beach?
I know just in the Bitcoin Beach wallet itself, there's 20,000 users now. I think Strike has a couple 100,000 users. And so, yeah, which in a country of 6 million, that's a significant portion that are already using it.
Okay, now I'm going to play devil's advocate. Obviously, as you can see, I'm a big Bitcoin bull, but I have to play devil's advocate here. This is a country where the average person earns $300 a month. And when you earn $300 a month, you can't really afford volatility. With that as a background, how do you expect people to really adopt Bitcoin? I mean, with the volatility that happens.
I think you say that they can't afford the volatility. I would say people that make that much money can't afford to not have an asset they can save in that goes up over time. And so, yes, the volatility is an issue, and people have to learn how to navigate that. But they, for the first time in their life, have an asset that's going up in value that they can invest in.
So I agree with you. I agree that on the one side of the coin, it's an asset they can invest in. But when you're earning $300 a month, there's very little to invest. You just want to make ends meet, right? And I mean, if you earn $300 a month and all of a sudden you get a 10% decline because Elon Musk decides that ESG is bad for Bitcoin, then what happens?
I think that the thing that you're missing is the people are making $300 a month. Before, they weren't saving because there was no incentive to save because their dollars kept going down. So we've seen people that are living hand to mouth that are saving for the first time in their lives, and they're actually accumulating wealth. And so it's actually the opposite. Like, this actually gives them the incentive to build that capital, to invest in a business, to build a home, to buy property. With dollars, they just want to get rid of them because they know they're going to keep going down in value.
If you have a message to the outside world, how can we help you? What help does El Salvador need from the Bitcoin community, from the crypto community, from outside of El Salvador? How can we help you?
I would say two things. We need help in education. Education is the biggest challenge that we have as a country now. And we need more people that come here and spend some sat in our community. So I would say that, yeah.
Anything to add? How can we help? How can the Bitcoin community and the crypto community help the people of El Salvador?
Just don't miss out on being part of this. Like, this is going to be the Bitcoin hub of the world now. I mean, we have all kinds of companies that are already coming in and setting up, and so I would tell them not to miss the train because this will be the center.
Okay, now let's get down to some serious business. Are we in a bull market or a bear market?
We are in a bull market. We just had the first country in the world adopt Bitcoin as a national currency. It's going to be the first in many dominoes to fall, so how could we not be in a bull market?
Okay, what about Ethereum?
No comment. We are definitely Bitcoin only here, so that's always our initiative. We want to make sure people don't get sidetracked into a bunch of scam coins and the stuff that's going to take them off track, and so we just want to keep it positive and we want to keep it Bitcoin.
Great, guys. Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure meeting you. Great pleasure. Thank you.
So let's see some Bitcoin maximalism in action. While the beach is beautiful, we had to go down the street and see the merchants using Bitcoin.
You can see even in the smallest cafes here in El Salvador, they accept Bitcoin using Strike, and they've made the process so simple. Basically, all you need to do is scan this QR code here, and you can pay for basic things using Bitcoin. I can see pilchards, I can see basic drinks, small sweets. This is the kind of stall this is exactly bringing Bitcoin to the people. Now we're going to go inside and find out whether anyone's actually using this. It's a local papusa stand, and I mean, again, just accept Bitcoin. And they've made it so easy. I mean, it's just scan a QR code and pay for basic things that cost just a few dollars. And if this proof of concept works, it brings great hope for countries such as African countries, Philippines, third world countries. I really hope that this experiment works. Dos, por favor. Hello. Hola. Hola. Do people actually use Bitcoin? I know that you talk a lot about Bitcoin. You even have a Bitcoin hat. Do people use Bitcoin here?
De hace año y medio.
How many people actually use it? I mean, what percentage, how many people use Bitcoin here?
Quizás un 40-50% de los que ya están, o sea, de los que vienen a comprar acá. Pero de la población en general del Zonte, quizás un 40% usa Bitcoin Beach para hacer transacciones, compras y todo eso.
Are you positive? Are you excited about the prospects of what Bitcoin can bring El Salvador?
Sí, bueno, nosotros sí lo apoyamos. Desde el momento en que nosotros comenzamos a trabajar, pues lo aceptamos. Y pues esperamos de que en lo que es en el país funcione muy bien.
Una cerveza, por favor.
Grande, pequeño.
Es Corona.
Pilsener y hay Golden.
Golden, por favor. ¿Cómo lo pago?
Nosotros usamos la wallet de Bitcoin Beach.
Sí, ok.
Ajá. Bitcoin Beach.
Sí.
Y acá en DC. Luego $1. Y aquí está. Pero si tú no tienes Bitcoin Beach, puedes escanear eso.
Yeah, tu pagas.
Papusa, which is I think it's a national food or one of the national foods. The irony is we're supposed to be having this guided dinner at a fancy hotel, and here we are eating at the local places, the local people. This is much more. This is just more what I enjoy. I think it's the food that they're most famous for.
If this is where it started, this is where we can draw inspiration from. Just a month before we arrived, the world stage took note of El Salvador's progress. The International Surfing Association holding its Olympic qualifier here with the top 500 surfers in the world. The tourism minister played it up at the Foreign Affairs Ministry.
Bueno, eso es lo que estamos haciendo con Subsidio El Salvador. Welcome to Subsidio El Salvador, porque lo que estamos haciendo es cambiarle la percepción a todo el mundo de qué se trata El Salvador.
The president opened up the competition, and you can really get a sense of the vision emanating from these shores.
A very short time ago, we decided that El Salvador has to build a new future, to change all of the things that made us suffer in the past, and to build our own destiny. And as strange as it sounds, we decided that surf will be part of that destiny. So I ask you to please be our ambassadors and spread the good word about our country. When you all become old, far, far from now, you look into the past and remember you were the ones that started it all.
So, surfing and Bitcoin go hand in hand here. Counterculture staples that are changing the narrative. And to wrap up, let's get an overall take from Brock Pierce on this delegation and the future of Bitcoin right here in El Salvador.
Brock, so we're at the end of our visit to El Salvador. Everybody's heading home. What are your parting thoughts here? What did you see? What did you learn? What's the big takeaway?
Well, that this opportunity is real. That this president is demonstrating real leadership, all positive. And so we now leave as witnesses, witnesses that can go share this story and let other people know about this opportunity, so hopefully they can get involved, come down here, do something, contribute in some way, because we really need this to work.
They say you can tell the health of a company by speaking to its management team, right? And when you speak to the management team, you get a gauge for how good the leader is and the culture of the leader. We've met with the management team of this country, arguably. What are your impressions? How do you think this place is run?
I had no idea that a place like El Salvador, somewhere in a relatively small nation in Central America, was going to be advancing beyond these developed nations. That the fortune and future is going to favor the bold. This is the evidence. I mean, what we saw around the hospitals, what we're seeing around Bitcoin, what we're seeing around their willingness to move quickly around geothermal, the open minds and open hearts and open arms that they have to bring down a delegation like this. This was the first formal delegation that this government has brought to El Salvador since COVID.
I guess that's why it's so important that El Salvador succeeds, because if El Salvador doesn't succeed, then other states are going to turn around and say, look, El Salvador did it. Look what happened, that didn't succeed. What do we need to do, or what can we do to make sure that El Salvador actually succeeds?
Well, that's what we came down here to do. So first and foremost, you got to come see things for yourself. Trust but verify, right? We need to bring people down here, bring economic development, foreign direct investment. We need to create jobs. We need to teach the people how to use it, the masses, bring a massive conference down. That looks like that's going to be September 21st. Basically do what we did in Miami and spread the word.
September 21st, 2021.
Yes, well, originally Rodolfo or Le Bitconf was going to have their annual LATAM event in December. His conference for Latin America, and he's been doing this 9 years. He deserves to be, he's earned the right. But it's also a nonprofit. He's never made any money off this. And on top of that, David Bailey and the BTC Media team that just did the Miami conference have partnered to help. Consensus is also doing the same thing. So we're watching this incredible collaboration
What are the big hurdles that we have to get through?
Speed, time. Time is my biggest concern, you know, because right now it's all eyes on El Salvador. It's all eyes here. And there's 81 days right now until this Bitcoin law, like, all takes effect and goes in. 81 days to try and get the whole, like, program.
Change the currency. Yeah. Change the currency in 81 days.
And so how do we get there, and how do we help as much as possible? Like, this is why we're all trying to move this quickly. That's why we came down here in a week. You know, and thanks to everyone that accepted this invitation, and thanks to the government, you know, for extending it. And I just hope that we put our best foot forward, you know, and that we do the work.
And there is a lot of work to be done. The countdown is on. Less than 80 days to go until this country puts Bitcoin to the ultimate test. A test we all need to pass. The world will be watching, so will we, and we'll keep you updated. And just a reminder that this episode of Crypto Banter is brought to you by BYBIT. Look out for the BYBIT spot exchange launching soon. Get up to $1,600 bonus when signing up. Use the BYBIT link below in the description.